Doing another live video here. This one, I need to first apologize to Mohammed. He has been a long time. He sent me this email in July, and I'm really sorry for taking so long to get back to you, buddy. Took a break from social media. Life got in the way. I'm really sorry. So Mohammed reached out to me on the website, and he asked, how does I think more or less like how does he get a job in web development? I think that's the $32,000 question for a lot of us. But he's specifically struggling with not having necessary skills yet of being able to get a job right out of the gate. And he's got a hearing disability, and he wants more of a support network to help guide him through the first part of the process. And I think those of us that have become web developers, having not come from that background, can empathize that first job is the hardest. It's absolutely the rockiest. So trying to prove that you have what it takes to become a web developer is rough. And it sounds like the environment that he's in, he might be battling some of the hurdles that, is a little bit more enunciated for his case. So my answer, Mohammed, first of all, thanks for reaching out to me. I'm rereading your email here. So the support network is big. Having a support network is big. It is good that you're doing stuff on the internet. Let me turn my notifications off here. It's good that you're doing stuff on the internet. He's doing Udemy courses, and they have tutors, but maybe not the hands-on experience that he's looking for. And he's in the UK. We should specify that some of the resources that we have in the United States, like a lot of our boot camps, may or may not be available. On top of that, the boot camps are expensive. So my response is getting mentors can be immensely helpful to you. And so I think that's like one of your undercurrent questions is how do I get a mentor in this? And what you're asking is a tall ask. Like if you asked me if I could mentor you, the answer would be no, because it's so hard. Hey, Kristen, what's going on? Good to see you. Getting a mentor in web development is so hard because we have so much that's going on. It's hard for us to have the patience to sit down with somebody. So my suggestion would be you should definitely seek to get a mentor, but put in the work yourself. You're gonna have to. People will be more likely to want to help you the more you show them how hard you're trying. And I'm not saying that you're not necessarily trying very hard, but if you want like a mentor, you're going to have to show them what all you've worked on and where you're getting stuck. The more narrow and specific your ask is of anybody who can help you, the more likely you are to get an answer. So if you come to somebody who's more experienced in web development, you just ask them like, how do I get a job? Like that's a valid question, but there's so much that goes into it, and there's so many layers that it's exhausting even thinking about how do we come up with a plan for you to do that. And no one wants to see you fail. Of course we want to see you succeed, but the more narrow your question is, the more pointed it is, and the more you can demonstrate how much you've worked on it or how hard you worked on it, those will absolutely increase your chances. To that end, there's actually a ton of communities online. Hey, it's Max. What's up, baby? There's a ton of communities online that you can join, like online Discords or Slack channels, where you can chime in and ask questions and get a little bit more support than I think that you're probably getting right off the bat. I know that Wes Boss, shout out to Wes, he has a couple of courses that he launches, and he always launches these Slack channels with them that are going to have people that are in there. Just a word of caution. Make sure you give as much as you get. So don't just go into any of these Slack channels or online communities and just ask questions and never give anything back. Like if somebody asks a question that you know how to answer, or you can like try to help with them on, the whole point of these communities is that they are communities. They're give and take. Like, you got to give as much as you take. So that would be my recommendation. The other one would be, if you can, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but if you can, see if there's any like meetups specifically towards the programming languages that you gravitate towards. Like, if you're a front-end developer, then try to go to like a JavaScript meetup or an HTML meetup or even a WordPress meetup. And try to, don't go to these things wanting to get stuff. Like, just give more than, like, give like 70% than the 30% that you ask at these places. You essentially, you want to become a resource for other people, even though you might not necessarily feel like you have all that know-how, but it sounds like you've been doing a lot of learning on Udemy so far, and there's probably a bunch of beginners out there that have questions that you can answer. So start, essentially, like, be the resource that you wish you had had. And people will see this and they'll want to invest in your success because they see what you're doing. And then my last bit of advice for actually getting that job, again, not knowing, you can send me another follow-up email, not knowing what the job market is like in the UK. If it's anything like the US, I'd recommend maybe getting a little bit more focused about where you want to work. Because if you just want to become a web developer, like grab bag web developer anywhere, like, you might not get the results that you want. But if you can narrow down like what kinds of companies you want to work at, that can be immensely helpful. And on top of that, it sounds like, if this is not too indelicate, it sounds like with your hearing disability, you actually have an opportunity to really focus on web accessibility, which is huge, because it's so painful for the rest of us to work in web accessibility, but it's such a necessary thing for the advancement of the web, that if you become an expert in web accessibility and building front ends for people that have disabilities, that's definitely one way you can absolutely set yourself apart. My other recommendation would be to go for larger organizations. The smaller the organization, the more you're going to have to know out of the gate. So if you go to a startup, you're going to have to be a full stack developer that can stand up your own web server and deploy out of the gate. Like, startups have no space to try to train you unless they have an explicit internship program. That's going to be the same thing for like agencies. Agencies, you're going to have to know your stuff right out of the gate. So large organizations, schools, banks, consulting firms, places that are large, that understand that it takes time to ramp up junior developers, which is what your entry-level position is going to be. Go for large organizations. So to recap, you're on the right track. Start giving more than you ask. Put yourself out there in online communities. And, oh, it's my cat. We got a kitten. His name is Albus. Say hi, Albus. He's going to make a guest appearance. So give more than you get. Go for large organizations. And I think the last thing is that, you're going to have to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. So when you work on these projects and you're starting to build your portfolio, maybe blog on the side about the parts where you got stuck and how you solved them. Because I can't say how many times I've had the chance to interview people and they just like plop this website in front of me, and it's great. But I don't know what they struggled with. I don't know how they solved the problems that they worked on. And unless we pull up their commit history, there's no way for them to show that. But they've absolutely done it. There it is. There's the proof that they solved the problem. But in terms of demonstrating your capacity and your ability, maybe just make it easy and catalog how you work through stuff and how you solve stuff. I think you're absolutely on the right track. I hope this answered a lot of your questions. Go ahead and shoot me back another email if I can clarify some stuff, or if I can add to this. And I do apologize for taking so long, but I really appreciate you reaching out to me. Have a great day.